Thank you, everyone. As mentioned, we've got Adrian Lyons, who is the General Manager of EziApps, with us now. He's going to be, he's got a pretty practical demonstration, so would you please join me in welcoming Adrian? Thank you.
We're developers with EziApp for agriculture and construction applications. I'm a farmer from central New South Wales. Saw basically a need a few years ago, getting sick of the carbon book, getting sick of basically using accounting packages or systems management packages that you had to go home to fill out. And when you're trying to get data or any records off employees or staff who basically have grease and oil on their hands, it was very difficult to get this. So we are very practical. We're not as, don't have the bells and whistles. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but what I will run you through is what we've built in the last 12 months. And Danny re-emphasised, you cannot build an app in 1 week. It takes 6 months and it does cost you money. And people don't like when you charge because they think you can do it for free. But, so I've diversified my farming business into app building. We built 2 apps. So we've got 5 apps going at the moment, construction and agriculture. So, you know, we've done it to diversify. We've done it because there's an industry need for it. I'm excited about the Apple tablets. I won't knock the rest of them, but I just know how good Apple is. I love their platform they build on. We sometimes don't like the testing you have to do with Apple. It's rigorous, but your product works at the end of it. They don't, whereas Android is, we're building on Android as well as .NET because we have some companies who want us to go back into the dark ages and build for them. We're not against using tough books and different things. People just say this device is not a tough device. Well, this falls out of the tractor quicker than I do most of the time. So, you know, that's 6-8 months old and it's not broken or the glass is not broken. So they're handy things to know from what Pam's got us down here for and Steve to see that there is a fit for it in agriculture. We can see that it works. We can see we've built our apps so you don't have to have service. Basically, if you do a report as an agronomist or you do one as a spray contractor, you can do 10 or 15 applications during a day and it'll go when you come back into service. So that's the benefit of ours. We're not web-based. We don't want to be web-based. We have been asked for that. We've been using the social media. I agree with Danny. It's tough. Farmers like using, I think you call it the bush telegraph still. You know, they all like to still keep a secret. We're trying to aim at 20% of the top end of the market. I think in Melbourne or Victoria, in Perth, you're seeing a lot of iPhone, iPad, smartphones getting about. In New South Wales, we're always, you know, we're at Orange Field Days for the next 3 days with my 2 business partners there. Just the adoption of the technology is something we're finding. It's slow, but it's getting there. A lot of people use these for babysitters in the back of a car, and then they find out it's actually a business management tool. Our biggest problem, and I suppose the reaction we get from people who are using iPads or iPhones, it's a $2 shop. And I don't know whether Danny agrees with me on this, but when you charge what we charge for our apps, and you're competing against $2 sellers of games, when they don't realise this is actually a management tool, you know, the psychology that we have to get through and the fear of the use of a big piece of glass that won't work in the sun or won't work or break or whatever, and then, oh, hang on, my kids have got games on it for $2, how dare you charge that? But then when we tell people what we've built and when we tested it and they're using our beta testers, what would they pay for what we build and what I'll run through with you after, they'd pay double or triple what we've charged because of what it can do for their business. So that's what we aim at, and I think in industry, you know, it costs a lot of money to get good code writers, good developers. I'm not a technician by any means, so don't come and ask me a code writing question, ask Danny. So ask him anyway, it'll be easier for me. With the farmers are slow adopters, so we're finding a little bit of a struggle, and also having a farm myself plus Pete's sheep feedlotting and Dave's building in Sydney. Our presence of tablets and presence of applications, we have to get out there more and more. When we thought we could sell it off the app store, well, we've had 6,200 downloads in 4 months. Now, we're very happy with that. That's worldwide. America, South America and Europe have been the biggest adopters. But we'll get there eventually. If we can get our spikes through media or talks like this, that's when we're seeing some relay back. Just depending on that app store is too difficult, because what you find is people who have an app phone will just buy $2 apps. When they see something like this come on there, they get shocked by it. So we're doing the lead, and the problem we've got selling applications is we're selling a damn device. And that's our biggest blockage in our business, is we need to tell people how good the device is, then they'll buy the app. And Danny will know with Apple, like they're a mushroom, they don't give much away. And I like their marketing program, and we've adopted their attitude, I suppose, in how we sell ours. It's a hard thing to explain to a farmer why it costs what it costs and what it can do. You've just got to prove to the farmer how much money it will save him, or the agronomist how much time it'll save him. And we have 2 code writers in Sydney and 1 in England. Your code writer is only as good as the information he gets. So when Danny's talking about wireframes and everything like that, it's very important. You've got to have your information correct before you give it to your code writers to run with. And a few of our competitors out there, while they have great products, we've found that they probably don't have farmers in their code writing room or advising them with their wireframes. We've got 5-star ratings on our applications at the moment, and you know, we're pretty happy, but it is a slow process. But I'll bring you up onto the, I'll turn it upside down, onto our applications, and I'll probably start, I've got a friend in the audience, John Horton, who's helped me today, because basically this is built for all our facets of the industry, but we're trying to adopt it into horticulture and broadacre cotton and the like. So that should come up there now. So we've got the agronomic one. Everyone knows what an agronomist is, I presume. These are reports we've done over the few different field days we've had. Some of them are probably just dummy inspections, but what I will start to do, you've got your farms. What I'm trying to show you is the functionality of this app is quick, it's easy, we haven't glossed it up, we haven't tried to do anything other than we want information back at the office. So bear with me, it does produce a PDF form at the end of it. So if we go into our farms, we'll go into John Horton's farm, and it's easy enough, you put who needs to have what information. So you've got your farm, your address, your coordinates. You can do that of your airstrip, of the centre of your farm and or of each paddock. You can have your main contact and your second contacts. So in your settings page, which is back in here, you have all your CC settings of who you want it to go to. So you're not always trying to find out where to send this PDF form, and it's a cumbersome thing to send an email. This will automatically be done. You'll be able to put your logos on it, your opening message, your constant CC and BC invoice terms. You're able to send a tax invoice out of this if you're charging an agronomist and or a contractor if you're spraying. So we'll go into a farm. You've got your crops as well. I have added some different ones in there, like grapes, Carina. We'll be doing a report on that in a second. But you can put as many crops as you want in there. You can keep on adding them in there. It's unlimited. You come into your products. Now this is a feature we've found very useful. This is not just a recommendation service for an agronomist. This is a property planning tool. You can plan a year out, whether it's broadacre or horticulture or whatever it may be. I'll be able to show you the reports when we finish it, to show that you could go 12 months out in advance. You can go 10 years back. Now with iOS 5 and the cloud basing, what we've found, and Danny may correct me, but memory hasn't been really tested on these apps or the iPad as yet. But with the cloud, where you can suck the information back up to the cloud, you know, is there a real need to have 64 gigabyte to farmers in the way of an iPad? I don't think so. We've got 16 gigabyte, and with the cloud, you're able to, you'll have unlimited information. And it won't be so important to go back to, you don't have to own an Apple Mac computer either. You can sync this back to your own HP computers. It's very important to know that you don't have to go and buy the whole set, which I had to do. You're able to enter in what the price you pay for each chemical. So for an agronomist who is a reselling agronomist or is a private agronomist, you're able to put in what your cost is per unit, whether it be kilos or hectares or litres or grams or whatever it may be. You give it a type, which is a fungicide, you can give it a residual, and it will come up on the report at the end in red. So if you're looking back post or pre-sowing or in the last 12 months, it'll come up in your reports as red. You can look back as far as you want, year to date, or 2 years, to find out should you be putting another product or another plant in that ground and it may be affected by chemical. So you're able to add as many chemicals as you want in there. As you can see, I've got mine. We haven't aligned ourselves with any chemical company, basically for different reasons we've come across, but every farmer gets chemicals sold to them at a different price. So if you grow 5,000 acres, it'll be different to the bloke who's growing 40,000 acres. So for an agronomist, it's just a relative indicator, so he can walk out of the farm saying to the farmer, it's going to cost you $15 a hectare or it's going to cost you $30 a hectare. So it's an indicative price, so you can see what chemicals you use. You might put a bundle of chemicals together, or you might just say use Roundup at 3 litres per hectare, which will do the same job. So it's an agronomist doing his consultancy. We use this as an advisory document. We don't want to align spraying and agronomy together because they're two different things. An agronomist is an advisor. The farmer will always change the rate. So we find that we wanted to protect the agronomist as well in this. With your pests, you can put as many pests as you like in it. As you can see up the top, you can keep on adding them through. So just say for that one, you've got an aphid, it's an insect. You've got many different types which apply across broadacre farming or horticulture, and you can give it all the titles it needs. Rather than having a long list of everything, you can go into each of the separate ones and be able to pick them out quickly. And that's the whole idea of this device, is to be able to have an enjoyable experience every time, to be able to get your reports written out. So what I might do is take you through an inspection. So I'll pick 6E patch, and it's grapes. Please understand I don't know anything about grapes other than drinking the wine. So we might do a spray, and you add an inspection. So as you can see, we try to default as much as we can in this so you don't have to keep on filling out the iPad. So with broadacre cropping, if you're using 50 litres a hectare during a summer fallow, that will be probably constant through a summer fallow. If you come to a winter time, it might be 100 litres per hectare. You can go back into your default settings and change those, whatever you're doing more of. So the idea is minimise the moves you have. So if we go in there and we're doing one, we're going to say what the growth note is, and as John told me there before, he might be spraying some fungicide out because he's trying to prevent some ascochyta or John might help me here. What was it? Downy mildew. So it's at 7 leaf, and you're able to come back, and that'll be recorded on your PDF. You've got the pests, and you might call it downy mildew, and you're able to put those, keep on adding to those lists. I'll take you to the chemicals in a sec. So that's the problem we have may have that problem in that paddock. And then we go to recommendation. You're able to add these product lists. If you falter when I get to about this stage, at any stage, and say you get distracted or your computer runs out of energy, battery, that where you're up to in that report will still be there. We're looking for the fungicide of this one, and we're going to use Mancozeb. Please forgive me if the prices aren't correct. And I think John said there before, 4 kilos to the hectare would be a fair enough rate to put on this paddock. We want to put some surfactant with this product, and we'll use some Agril, which we've put a price on. It might not be indicative today, but it will be. And we might say we're going to put it on at 0.2%. We've made it so the functionality and the formulas, we've had a great code writer to be able to talk in our language to be able to let us fill things out, whether it's in mils to the hectare or percentage of litres of tanks. So if I did this report without talking to you guys, I'd probably do it in about under 30 seconds. And that's the whole idea. We've got to beat the pen, and we've got to be able to have it legible. This is the default applications which you have in your settings, and you can change it at any time, but we're at water rate, it's at 70 litres. We're pretty happy to use that rate of water. Droplet size, we try to use it simple. Do you want to bring it down to the microns? Agronomists will talk in this language because they don't know exactly what nozzle that farmer is using in his spray unit. So we'll just call it medium for the day. We can have all these applications: air, ground, mister, spot spray or camera spray. For this purpose, in a vineyard, we'll be using a mister. and you've got your consumptions. So it's all about traceability and accountability. We've got to know that the farmers, whatever advice the agronomy is given, and it's on that PDF document, that these farmers will follow it to as much as they can, and it's only as good as the agronomist can give if you're putting on Mancozeb, and I think there was 28 days for withholding, so we'll call it 28 days. You've got a wheel there just to make it a bit easier rather than writing it in there, and that'll probably convert it to 4 weeks. If there's a harvest plant back, well, I think it's 4 weeks again there. Is that right, John? Roundabout? Just for the purpose of it. There's no grazing in vineyards, unless it's Heliothus. You get your plant backs. Well, I imagine it's an annual, or perennial. You know, you're not having to worry about plant backs because you're not planting anything back into it. Your rain fast, it doesn't really matter. Probably with Mancozeb, you'll just put one out for that. If you've got a problem and you're looking at maybe a disease and you're not quite sure of it, or you've got a junior agronomist on checking, you're able to turn around and take a photo of the problem. You want to use that. So you'll be able to use that photo, as you can see on the bottom there. There's your photo. So that can be sent to someone to say, well, yes, you do have downy mildew or you don't. The inspection costs if you're charging fee for service, well, it's not relative to me, but at home, you know, I grow 10,000 acres of cropping, or 4,000 hectares or so they'd charge per hectare at 30 cents a hectare. You guys in the smaller area, you might charge $10 a hectare for the time you've had to go to look at that 4.5 acres. As I said, all the default things are in there. His hectares are already there. Everything's defaulted so you don't have to keep moving through it. That report's now done. So you go into the reports. I've already done 2 with John there this morning, and it gives you a time accountability. So if you have, say it's Landmark and they have 5 agronomists, and the biggest problem they have is time and traceability of what their actual agronomists are doing in the day, well, this will also give the time. You have your actions. You're able to do different things. You email this report to whoever needs to know about it, and that's the CC and the BC sections. You can CSV this, export to any Excel platform, or your program matcher managers, or your back paddocks, or whatever else you may be using, which what we're finding is no one's using those products they're paying $1,000 a year for. They're leaving them shut up in their office, and they're not filling the data in, whereas this is instant. And what we find with a lot of not so much the agronomists, I'll go into the spraying in a second, but the agronomists don't want to have this all cluttering them up. They just want to have this as a historical sort of thing. So you can use a preview of what we just did there with John. And there's a photo of John in the audience if you want to go and give him a pat on the back. But what it does is gives you an inspection, the long lats. It's got all the details of who it is. It's a very professional report that's not got squiggly lines all through it from the old carbon copy. You're able to have your rates in, which is exportable. And we're trying to sort of marry up with those platforms there. So it gives all the information that needs for that farmer for the day. And again, it's only an advisory document. So there's 2 reports that were done. If I was on my own, I'd probably spend 2 hours in that vineyard. It'd only take me a minute to fill these reports out. The biggest thing is it will add up the products as you're going. It'll give you a cost, and it's only relative to what the agronomist is selling on that day, so it's very important. It's only as good as the information they put in this machine. You're able to also, because you might have tricky clients, you can also sign both the agronomist and the farmer. So if you've got a lot of susceptible stuff going on with other crops around, at least that's on there. So when you look at the preview, that's what's printed out with it all. So that's for the agronomy part. You come into the spray. I think we've built them on the same sort of format. We've taken, well, there are other sections in the agronomy one where we can clone reports. So if you're going through a number of different paddocks and using the same chemical, you can keep cloning that same paddock or the same rate, and it'll go through. So you don't have to keep on going back into the application. So we're adding planting into this as well. We'll just do a spray application. So again, I'll go into Horton's block. All the details in there again. We can add paddocks or delete paddocks, but we'll just go into 6 E Street or Old House block. It's got all the details in it. We want to go in, add a spray application. So all the details are up the top, are all defaulted. All you're changing, and with the accountability and traceability and wind drift and everything that's going on, the litigation that's going on with killing other people's plants or crops or whatever it may be out. And in our area, there's a lot of auditing going on with different chemical use. So you're able to put in your weather station and work out your delta T's. You're able to put your times in. So I'd say it takes 2 hours to, might take 2 hours to spray that paddock. You might say the wind speed's about 12 kilometres an hour when you started. You might say it's 21 kilometres an hour when you're finished. The wind direction, we've tried to keep it simple. We didn't want to go into degrees and everything like that. It's hard enough to get farmers to fill out anything, let alone let's try and get them just to keep it simple like this. If there is a need for it, our company will change it. And if it's more than 0.1% change, we won't do it. Or we will do it over that. We've had plenty of people come in and get technical, try and blow our app up because they want it to be too technical. And that's the thing. If you make it too technical, they won't use it. They will put it under the seat of the car. So just say it's a northeasterly wind. You've got, and this is just start-stop times. You've got your temperatures of the day. Just call it 12 degrees. Might finish at 21 degrees. Please forgive me if they're just guessing, but probably make it a bit easy for you. And that's your relative humidity, the atmospheric pressure, start and stop. We'd like to be able to Bluetooth it straight from a watchdog or something like that. Where I come from, because we're trying to be broad for everyone, I'm 50 kilometres an hour now, 50 kilometres away from a weather station. If I have a chemical company with a claim, they're going to go off that bomb. Yeah. I don't have a frost, the town did. Well, who's right, who's wrong? So if we've got a reputable watchdog or something like that, we're investigating Bluetoothing it, because what some farmers think is you can walk up to the paddock with that iPad, swipe it across the paddock and all the information you do in it comes into that pad. I don't think it's magic. And we've tried to stop the carbon book and we've given them this, but they still want it to do everything for them. So we're trying to make it that much easier. Voice recording will probably come into it now after what we've seen today. So that gives you a delta T, whether you should or you shouldn't spray. You can add as many weather observations as you want, especially if it's a big company with a lot of, you can add those in all day long. You come into the chemicals, same with your product list again, we're going for a fungicide, we want to use Mancozeb. We want to put it on at 4 kilos to the hectare. You can put your batch numbers in, which is becoming part and parcel of everything. We're finding most of our dyslexic workers who haven't been able to read or write are using this quicker than they are being able to write something down, because they don't have to physically have to write. They memorise it and they can picture it. My employee at home is great like that. So once I've showed him how to do it a few times, he doesn't have to actually read something, he just knows where it's got to go now. So you allow for that sort of who we're employing. Again, the agronomist has decided we want to put some surfactant on there, put it at 0.2% and put the batch number in. It's done. So that's a report done. You can see how long it takes you. For work safety and everything like that, of course if you get hurt you've got all that on. You've got your nozzle codes. I think it might be right, XR 1.5, so I'm guessing here, all those other ones. You can keep on adding frequent ones if you like. They're all the ones I use, the top 5 or 6. So we're using the 1.5 today. 75 litres of water, you can change that if you like. Spray pressure, it's 18 kilometres an hour. I doubt we'd be doing that in a vineyard, otherwise nothing would get done, so we'll call it 1.8 kilometres an hour. Your water source, that's all important. The traceability back, especially if you're doing, I won't say it's organic, but especially if you're doing stuff for Woolworths or whoever it is, or Nestle, or they want to know what's happening to that crop. And this is probably what you've got to be able to look at. If you're a contract spray rig operator and he comes in and he said, I charge you $19 a hectare, it's done. So the reports are done. I'll come into the one we did there before. Actions, you want to show the prices, and you've got to add a theme. So you can add as many themes as you like. Actions, preview. I'll give you one idea. Just say this is off a broadacre one. And that's, you can do, every report will just keep on rolling off that document. So all that stuff there is all for if you get in trouble because of the weather. All this stuff's exportable. This does give you a gross margin. It tells you what you're spending per hectare. It gives you a total cost. we've got an update coming in the next month, which will do a hell of a lot more than what it's doing at the moment. So relative gross margin benchmarking out in the paddock without having to go back to the accountant or your home-based computer. I hope that's given you an idea of what apps are, their ability in the field can do, and the ease of use, and that's what we try to promote. So thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, Adrian.